the left has really been on a push for more green energy, and they're wanting this whole Green New Deal and renewable energy and all that. But the big push has been it's all been wind and solar power. That's their big push. I'm all for having less emissions, all that. Obviously, coal is a very dirty source of energy. Coal and natural gas. The natural gas is a little better than coal. Coal's definitely the most dirty, the dirtiest. But every source of energy has a little bit of some emissions, some problems. Every source of energy has some problems. But I think we're ignoring probably the what is, in my opinion, the best option for energy, which is the cleanest source of energy and also the safest. And this is something a lot of people don't understand. That's nuclear. Nuclear energy is much cheaper than solar. It's also much cleaner, actually, than solar and wind and all that. It's also one of the safest. It is the second safest of the group. Is safer than wind. 0.03 deaths per terawatt hour. Solar comes in just slightly ahead of 0.02 deaths per terawatt hour. So safety is very, very safe form of energy. Right now it accounts for around 10% of the global electricity, so it's a very, definitely not the biggest source, but it's but it is more than both wind and solar right now. It is much cleaner than both. It's cleaner than even wind and solar. It has way less emissions, and it's a better option than what we got. I know the biggest thing is people are scared of it. I know people are scared of it because of there's really about three accidents that have happened over the years. Since 1979, I believe, is when 3 Mile Island, the disaster, had a partial meltdown in 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania. People don't realize, a lot of people probably don't realize this, but there was absolutely no deaths, no increased rate of cancer, nothing that way around that area. It's actually it's no different than anywhere else. So there's no changes in anything, changes in cancer rate, nothing that way. Nothing that would suggest that, it was anything ever happened. There's no deaths, no increase in sickness or anything, which is a good thing. Obviously you don't want any disasters, obviously, but when you do have a disaster and that's the worst one on American soil and nobody's sick, nobody's died, anything that way, I consider that a good thing. The second one is I'm going to go over is Chernobyl, which is obviously and by far the worst nuclear disaster in history. However, that one there was a very large number of things that happened. I was in the 80s when that one happened in Soviet-controlled Ukraine. That plant was built with a lot of corners cut and built to try and appease the dictator to get up much quicker, and actually did not meet what anywhere close to what standards would be today, or even in America back then. They were just trying to get it up. Which never should have been built the way it was. Never should have, a lot of design flaws, a lot of cutting corners, so it never should have been built, never should have been operational in the first place, to be completely honest. The other one was in 2011 in Japan, the Fukushima disaster, where a tsunami took hit the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Again, there was no actual direct causes, direct deaths from that incident. 0 deaths at all. They did say there was one worker that died from lung cancer in 2018 from that. Whether that was related to the accident or not is speculated, obviously. Even if that is the one case, that's one, that's still, these are the 3 worst disasters of all time. I think Chernobyl had around 30 deaths directly caused by it. So we're around, 31 deaths total directly caused by nuclear accidents, and since the 1950s. That's pretty safe overall. Right now, it's the cost for the cost of solar is around $30 a megawatt hour. It keeps going down slightly every year, it seems like, which is relatively cheap. Megawatt hours, a lot. That's a lot. In order to get 1 megawatt of electricity from solar, you'd have to have 10 acres to produce this. And to have a 1 megawatt capacity for solar, you're looking at $890,000 to $1.1 million to build that plant, to build that facilities. A nuclear power plant in their a nuclear power plant in the will produce around 1 gigawatt per plant, which is about 1,000 megawatts. So you're talking, in a nuclear power plant, you're going to see roughly a square mile to produce that. So we're talking 1,000 times more electricity produced by a nuclear power plant than solar. Solar's taking 10 acres to produce that one. So we're talking just in land, 1 gigawatt. We're talking just in land, the amount of land taken. It take around 360 times more land to produce the same amount of electricity as nuclear for wind, and around 70 times more land for solar to produce, the same amount of electricity. We're talking, roughly 75, that'd be 75 square acres, or 360 acres for wind. Or miles, excuse me, square miles, not acres. 1 gigawatt of power can power around 750,000 homes. So one power plant, nuclear power plant, can realistically power a fairly large city. It'll take a lot more land, more time, everything that way. And right now, we're talking needing power. People use more power now than ever before. So we're talking, and with a growing population, we're going to have to find ways that we can produce this power without taking up that much land. Because right now, the biggest thing right now, the world population is expected to grow by around 3 billion people in the next 80 years. We're going to have to feed those people. People, they've got to eat. People have to be fed. And the only way to do that, to feed people, obviously, is you have to be able to grow food. We're taking this land for these renewable energies. It's taking land away from these farmers, from people that can use it for food. So we're really creating even more problems by going just strictly with these renewables without really actually experimenting or actually really even investing in this, the one thing that actually would be plausible would be nuclear waste, or nuclear power. As far as nuclear waste, you could take all the nuclear waste for all the United States for the next 60 years, and you could fit it inside an average size, retail store. It's not that much. Like that's the other big argument against it. Nuclear waste is a bad deal. It takes lasts forever. The half-life is very long, so it takes forever to break down. Yada yada yada. But the truth is, it really doesn't take that much room to store that much nuclear waste. And with proper, procedures, and obviously the safety standards that these plants are built to are very, very high. Especially now, as we've learned, from these disasters, learned from these things that have happened. We've learned more and more about it. Obviously, we can make them better than even back then. So we really actually should be investing a lot more in nuclear. But it seems like that's one thing that would actually make a difference. That would actually should be the pillar of what they're wanting to do, and that's the one thing they really don't want to do. So I don't know. It blows my mind that we can't have these. That you can't even really have a discussion with people. People just don't even want to hear it. Like nuclear power it's the best option that we have. It really is. and I think we need to invest more in it because that's what's actually going to make a difference. So that's my thoughts on it, and I gave you statistics. These are actual statistics. You can look up pretty easily online. It's the best source we have right now, and whether you want to admit it or not, it really is. And I think we need to invest in that because it is their best option. But